Hello, everyone. Week 5 of Dancing with the Stars, dedication night. We're breaking it all down here on the Ballroom Breakdown with Dana and Megan. We thank you for joining us wherever you're watching. We're so glad that you're here, and we're so excited to chat about last night's episode. I'm Megan McPherson.
And I'm Dana Searles. It was a fun night last night.
It was so fun.
An emotional night.
Yeah,
Something
maybe fun
unique.
isn't even the best word to describe it, because I feel like we saw a little less of the fun side of all the couples, and we saw more of that sensitive, emotional side of them. We got to understand all of them on a deeper level.
Yes, it was absolutely a powerful night. That's one way we could describe it. I mean, so many ways to describe the night. Every single contestant was able to dedicate their dance to someone special in their life, and this season was a bit of a unique addition. Was whoever they dedicated that dance to was able to join them on the ballroom floor. So we had pretty much 3 people in every single dance, which was so much fun to watch. It was so sweet and wholesome to see who everybody dedicated it to, and we really got to see like the storytelling shine in the choreography.
Yes, I loved kind of hearing about who they picked, why they picked that person, and again, we just got to see, I feel, especially for some of the celebrities, just a different side of them and understand them on a deeper level and some of their backstories, because some people chose to feature somebody that just had a big influence on their life. Other people chose to feature somebody that, maybe they had a certain experience with, or even like, some negative instances, and then it became positive. So it was really cool to see all the creativity, and also, to see all these family members and special people in these celebrities' lives featured in the dances. And so they were all of them were great.
Absolutely. It was a unique night. We really got to see a new side, I feel like, of everybody. See their true side, I guess we should say. I feel like we've seen the show and the persona and the performances, but now we just saw them being themselves, raw emotions. I absolutely love dedication night. I wrote actually in my notes last night, it's just such a happy night. And I love to see how everybody was so supportive of one another. Everybody was crying in the ballroom. Tears were flowing, but good tears. All good tears.
Absolutely.
So a lot to recap this week. So let's start off jumping into the dances if we're ready, Megan.
Let's do it.
Let's rock and roll. Okay. First, starting off with Andy. Now, Andy is someone we have been, we're kind of matching in our pink with Andy today.
He knows us.
He had the salsa, I believe it was, and he dedicated it to his daughter, who you see right there on the screen. I mean, she was just cute as overload. The way that she was able to remember these dance moves and like execute it so well. I think Andy actually had a pretty good salsa. I think he moved pretty well. I had a fun time watching this dance. I think this was the perfect way to start off the night because so many people love Andy. He's definitely a fan favorite right now. So to start off with him, put on top of that his cuteness overload daughter. I mean, that really was the full package deal. I love the dance. I did. But we were critical of Andy last week. We feel like he should have gone home last week. So we have to stand behind it. I still think he should have gone home.
Agreed.
However, you cannot ignore the cuteness on his daughter.
No, absolutely. And it was really fun to just see this side of him. Loved hearing the story about how he, ended up marrying his wife, his current wife that he's now married to. He ended up, she had a daughter. She was a single mom, and then he ended up adopting her. So it was really sweet to see that side of him. And I feel like it kind of makes sense as to why he's seems to have kind of that sensitive side to him, because he has this little girl in his life, and we got to see their connection, which was so sweet. I loved that we saw more movement from him. I think he loosened up, and a lot of the dances these last couple of weeks, it's just been kind of just, stuck to one spot on the floor. Haven't seen a lot of movement. I felt like he was very stiff. We got to see him just loosen up a little bit and move his body a little more. Still moving those hips like he likes to do, but
loves to show off the hips.
Absolutely. There was joy in the dance. I just wrote that he looked more comfortable, which he really did. I think the last couple of weeks he's kind of danced looking like he's trying so hard to remember the steps, and I didn't feel that as much last night. I felt like he knew the dance, he was comfortable, confident, and I did see clear improvement, which the judges have been talking about how he's improved every week. Still, though, regardless of that, I do think that he is still and I hate to say the weakest competitor, but just not the strong, probably the least strong dancer out of the couples that are still remaining. So
he's unique in his own way, I think, and that's I think why people love him so much. But just compared to the other dancers who come out with a wow dance every single week after week after week, that's just not Andy. However, I do agree. I'm seeing improvements. I think the judges might have said, I think it was maybe for Andy, that they saw actually a lot of content. In
more
that
dance
salsa.
content,
and so they were really impressed with that. So I love the improvement. I love what we're seeing, but it's time, Andy. We love you.
Absolutely.
But it's time to go home.
And thank you for sharing your daughter with the world.
she's
We
adorable.
loved seeing her. Her and Emma's matching outfits were so sweet.
Yes.
Loved it. It was a really sweet dance. They got all 6s, which I think is pretty on
Fair.
par with Andy's performance. And he's always, pretty much every single week, he's had the lowest scores on the leaderboard. So that just means it's time for him to go home next week.
But we had so much fun watching Andy.
Absolutely.
And if he stays, great. But if not, that's okay too.
I have to say, if he stays next week, I probably will think that that's not justified, but we'll get we'll cross that bridge when we get there, if we get there.
Yes.
Okay, let's move on to one of our favorites of the night that we loved, Robert and Whitney. This is next couple up. This was such a sweet, emotional dance. Dedicated it to his mom, who, of course, if you know the Irwins, you know that Steve, Robert's dad, died several years ago. They're wildlife conservationists with the Australia Zoo and everything, so they have a really inspirational story, but it was dedicated to his mom. And I just thought there was so much power in this dance. He is so good at contemporary, these moves. He was fluid, he was smooth. There were some jumps that he looked like a dancer, truly looked like a dancer out here. Now I have to say, this ending part was just breathtaking, where Whitney stepped out, they did the camera shot where they circled around, and then his mom stepped in, Terry. So I just loved that. So sweet. You could tell that he was very emotional the entire night from the minute that the show started. And I can see why, because I think he really wanted for that dance to be perfect, special for his mom, to showcase all that they've been through together as a family. And it was just really sweet seeing their family dynamic, because I think we hear a lot about Robert's dad, but to hear about the sacrifices that their mom made over the years to be able to go through grief, losing her husband, but still raise those kids in such a great way is incredible.
Yeah, it was a beautiful dance. I think that, like you were talking about the camera shot there, which we just saw, I think that was my favorite moment of the entire night.
It was so well done.
How cool and powerful, just to kind of showcase that, and his mom. And like you were saying, he was very emotional from the start. I texted Megan and I was like, Robert,
we were texting back and forth.
Yeah, we were texting, like, he's not clapping. They're just kind of,
he was just locked in,
calm and focused on the night and really present in the moment. And I think that showed in his dance. I agree. He looked like a beautiful dancer. He looked like a pro out there.
Absolutely.
And I know last week, I think we were pretty critical of Robert, saying that from the week one, we were very wowed. We hadn't seen the wow. He gave the wow again and proved why he is still our season 34 winner, in my opinion. So I'm really happy for him. I think that he really did justice to that dance. I think Whitney's choreography was amazing too. And I just loved how at the end too, Bindi came out and they were all hugging and crying. I mean, that was probably the dance of the night that brought the most tears. From what I saw. Bruno was bawling.
I was very emotional.
I
Bruno.
was bawling. It was. And I think that dance really just exemplified dedication night so beautifully. And I love that he had that moment, and it was powerful. It was pretty.
So powerful, absolutely. Yeah, I can understand why everybody in that ballroom was so emotional. It just set the tone for the entire night. It set the bar really high for the entire night. And we were critical of Robert last week because we said that we didn't feel Whitney was challenging him enough. We felt like the choreography was just a little too simple, wasn't really showcasing his skills. And when we see them side by side like we did in that dance, he just shines because he's just very powerful on his own. But we know that he can have fun with the quick movements. So to see him slow down and really kind of come into his own with that contemporary style was just awesome. And like I said, those jumps and some of those moves, I was just really, really impressed with him. So they got 1-8. Come on, Carrie Ann with that 8.
Carrie Ann, what are we doing?
Seriously,
He should have gotten all 9s, I think.
I could say some things about Carrie Ann and how if
she was crazy this night.
Giving Robert an 8, but then other dances a 9. I digress on that, but maybe we'll talk about it a little bit later. I don't understand that. But the rest 9s, which I think was perfect, I would have given that dance a 9 myself.
And we were shocked. Spoiler alert, there was no 10 given out all
10,
night.
yeah.
I thought last night's episode was going to be the episode for the first 10, but it wasn't. But I'm not mad about that because I love that we're still, letting those pros, or the stars and the pros, work towards a 10. They still need to earn it and get there. But I thought that dance could have even deserved a 10. That's why I'm shocked by the 8. Carrie Ann was not consistent with her scores, and it's not a secret
at all. not at all.
We'll see what happens.
All right, let's move on to our next couple.
Up next, we had Elaine and Alan. Now, her night was her dance was dedicated to Lisa Ann Walters from The Parent Trap, one of her best friends, lifelong best friends. I love the bell ring moment. I thought that was super cute. I thought they all moved very well. It flowed very well. But I gotta say, compared to Elaine's dance last week, I think Elaine is still the star. I mean, my eyes were drawn to Elaine this entire dance, so I want to give her kudos for that. However, I don't like the dance. I don't know, something about it didn't do it for me. I think last week she had such an amazing dance, and I think it was still beautiful nonetheless. I just wish they didn't incorporate Lisa as much. I think we could have done without as much Lisa.
Agreed.
I didn't like the three moving along the ballroom together. Not that they didn't do great.
Right.
I just think it took away from Elaine's dance herself.
Yeah.
So I thought the choreography was a bit weird. I thought the storytelling was a bit weird. Not weird. What's the right word?
Just a bit.
Didn't flow well.
Honestly,
It just,
yes.
I wasn't able to just
something
connect
off
with it.
about it. Yeah.
And I feel like Elaine wasn't able to connect with it as much either. I think she still, had that best friend persona, and they had fun with it, but it was nothing deep. I guess I would say.
That's right. Yeah.
Nonetheless, very beautiful though. I'm still a big Elaine fan. I've been an Elaine fan since day one, but that dance, I don't know, it wasn't my favorite.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciated what they were trying to convey with the dance, with how talking about female friendships and how, as women, we have other women in our life that we really lean on. As she talked about, her mom passing away and how Lisa was the first person that she called. And so I love that they got to showcase some of their friendship. But I agreed, it was a super sweet dance. The flow was a bit off. I'm not a big fan of when there's, a couple dancing and then there's kind of one person just behind them.
Peeking on the back.
It just feels a little weird to me, and I know it's hard to incorporate three people into a ballroom dance, so I imagine that that's just what they have to do, but it just always feels a little off to me. The choreography was fun. And maybe Alan had a little bit of a hard time showcasing a female friendship with him being in the dance. I don't know.
The bell was cute. If there was one part I loved the most, it was the bell. I thought that was cute, little ode to the Parent Trap.
Yes.
I don't have much to say about it other than it wasn't my favorite. I would probably put it in my bottom three.
Yeah, I agree. Just not her best dance, but I still have high expectations for her. I think we'll see
more of her.
Hopefully, improvement from her next week when they can kind of get back to doing just like a more regular dance.
And I think the scores were fair. 8, 7, 7, 8.
Yes.
I can agree with those.
40.
I can get behind those. I'm happy with those.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's move on to Whitney and Mark. This couple, of course, is one of the top of the season in the sense that everybody just has really high expectations for them with Whitney's dance background. I think this dance was incredible. Mark's choreography was amazing, but we have to acknowledge that Whitney was out of sync. You can kind of see it here. They're just off a bit. They're not, you can see she kind of was doing the moves ahead. So she was just off a beat with the music, kind of made a little bit of a mistake there, which honestly was very out of character for Whitney because I feel like she has been on point every single week leading up to this moment. So it was just, I also did not like this ending.
No, I don't.
It felt really weird.
It was awkward.
It was a little awkward. Yeah, not a fan of that. But yeah, I mean, Mark is always going to be one of the most incredible choreographers. His choreography is amazing, and I liked seeing Whitney do this style of dance contemporary, but I just was not a fan of, or I guess that's not the right phrase. She was just out of sync, and so I think I just couldn't connect to that dance, and I honestly think it was their worst one that they've done so far.
I think by far it was their worst one.
Yeah.
I just think that them being out of sync took away from the power of the dance, the moment of the dance. I think it was still powerful, but I think that was because of Mark's choreography.
Yes.
You can't perform that without it being somewhat powerful.
Right.
And I think they both executed it fine. It was just the out of syncness that really threw everything off.
I wasn't a big fan of how much he was in the dance either.
Yes.
I wrote too much Connor for my liking. Connor's her husband. And, I think that they have overcome a lot. She kind of talked about their relationship and some of the bumps that they've had in Secret Lives. But I just am not a fan. However, Carrie-Anne loves Whitney, and she's always going to give Whitney the benefit of the doubt.
She's very biased towards Whitney.
Yes.
It shows. I don't think that's a secret.
Yeah, and I bring that up because the other three judges gave 8s. Carrie-Anne was the only one to give a 9. I feel like that dance would have honestly somewhere between the 7-8 range for me. Yeah. Because of the mistakes, I think that a lot of the judges are typically very critical of the other celebrities when there are mistakes. So we can't just excuse Whitney's mistakes just because she's such a good, she's a good dancer. We have to acknowledge that she messed up. It messed up the dance.
Yeah, I just think she has too high of expectations to be out of sync like that. And I was a little disappointed because I did think that, Mark would, he did have amazing choreography, an amazing story. It just wasn't it for me. And it's kind of sad to see, and I hate saying it.
Yeah.
And I know she'll bounce back.
She will.
This is just a little bump in the road. I don't know. I think maybe the emotions got too much of her. I don't know what the out of sync led to, but it just wasn't my favorite of the night and wasn't my favorite from Whitney. And I want to see more.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited for them to get back on track because we still have very high expectations for them. As you said, I think they're going to be one of the top couples, but not our favorite.
Yep, nope. Oh, and her scores. Oh, we talked about her scores.
Yep,
988. Yep. So, again, Carrie Ann biased. 8 I think is fair. Whatever. We'll rock with it.
Yep.
Okay, up next we had Jen and Jan. Now, Jen dedicated this dance to her mom, which I thought was very sweet of her. I gotta say, I thought she looked very elegant. This might be a hot take of the week. I thought it was a beautiful dance. I actually was very impressed with Jan's choreography. I think this was his best choreography we have seen yet. That's gonna be my hot take of the week. Not my favorite dance of the night, but I think they all moved so beautifully together. I liked how they were all dancing in a line. I thought her mom actually did amazing. And I thought you could tell Jen was just really happy to be doing that dance with her mom because I feel like so much of her life is focused on her kids and her husband. And I think this was such a cool moment for her and her mom to have that and focus on them because I just feel like so much of her life, especially the past year, has been such a roller coaster. But like her mom has always been that consistent that not a lot of people realize. So I thought it was a beautiful dance. Not everybody agreed. I don't think the judges didn't agree with that. But like I said, I do see where they're coming from because Jen, just something about her, that wow factor is missing. However, if I'm comparing her dance her dance last night to her previous dances, this is my favorite dance from her. I think it's the best choreographed dance by Jan by far, in my opinion. And I just thought it was beautiful. I think she moved very well, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was. I agree with you on the choreography. Definitely an improvement from Jan. I think I'm just critical of Jen, and I think I'm just comparing her to some of the other contestants that I feel are just a bit stronger dancers, but I don't want to, I don't want that to take away from the fact that she is, she's working really hard. I did love the message of the dance, and like you said, it's always kind of about her and her husband. So I was happy to see that she and her platform, largely being about her being a mom. I liked that she featured her own mom and kind of gave some context as to who raised her and what her upbringing was like. So I appreciated that. I just wrote that I feel Jen is very choppy. I don't think her movements are very smooth or fluid. And again, this is just kind of being overly critical, but I just want to see a little bit more grace, like a little more elegance. I feel like the judge is getting up and like doing a demonstration. It was just, and again, I think that definitely her best dance so far, beautiful dance, but something about it is just off to me. Something is still off with her, and I just don't think she's as strong as some of the other contestants.
I still think she's middle of the pack.
Yeah.
I think middle of the pack, but I also think we could be shocked a little bit and she could go home earlier. Again, I think it all comes kind of back to Jan and just like his lack of coaching and choreography. But that's why I feel like this week I was impressed because I thought he actually kind of
was definitely an
stepped out of the
improvement.
box. He didn't do as many lifts.
For sure.
It wasn't as many like funky tricks. It was more classic. And I kind of really appreciated that.
Yeah,
So,
I'm with you on that.
I don't know, but her scores were 8-7, 7-7. I agree with that. I think that was fair. I could have given her maybe one more 8.
Sure.
But that's just me. I don't know. I'm happy for her, and I think middle of the pack, and there's not much more to add there.
Yeah, I agree. And I'll keep it at that because I don't want to be overly critical of Jen because, there are other contestants that are kind of, I would say, below her.
Totally.
But at the same time, I just don't think that, like you said, middle of the pack. That's the best way to
We
put
can
it.
rock with that.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
All right, let's move on to next couple. We have Dylan and Daniela. Oh, this dance. You guys know that we have been pretty critical of Dylan, but seeing this connection between him and his sister Olivia was so sweet, and she is just a precious angel. She's a doll. I just love seeing her. I loved seeing Dylan attack this dance. He had confidence. We've kind of criticized him for coming off as a bit awkward, a bit stiff, a bit nervous. I did not see that in this dance. Also, that move right there was just incredible. so many sweet moments in the dance, and the judges, I could tell, were really moved by it too. So I loved that he just went for it. He just went for it, and I've been waiting to see that. I haven't really seen leading up until this point that he kind of is that leading man that you need to be in Ballroom, but I feel like we saw that side tonight, and I love seeing this more sensitive side of him. I felt like I could connect a little bit more. I am a younger sister with older brothers, so it just, me being able to just connect with him a little bit more in that sense, I think allowed me to see a different side of him because we've been so critical, and I thought that was probably his best dance thus far.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
By far. We have been Dylan haters. We all know that. Everybody knows that. But let me tell you, that changed last night. I love the dedication to his little sister. I mean, how can you not love her? She just lights up whenever she's with him. You can tell he is clearly just like a good big brother, which, like you said, I think that warms everybody's hearts to see just their relationship and their bond. And I agree. He attacked this dance. He looked like a dancer, and he didn't look weird because I feel like he was just being himself. He wasn't trying to be, you know, that good looking guy that he wants to be, or Daniela was trying to make him be, or whatever it was with his dances and the styles. I feel like this was a total different style. It wasn't as upbeat. It was a little bit more slow down and just him being himself and just really leaving it all on the dance floor. And I feel like that showed, and I love that. And that's what we've been waiting for. That's why we've been critical.
That
is
breakthrough
because,
moment.
yes, he hasn't been himself, and that's why we've been so critical, because we know he has it, and there he had it. I love that dance. It was amazing. And it was the highest scoring dance of the night. Rightfully so. Rightfully so. It was choreographed beautifully, executed beautifully, clean. And his sister, I mean, gosh, what's not to love about her?
So cute. She's so precious.
And the song to
Yes,
Zac
love the
Efron's
song.
which
Yeah,
is his brother,
I
of
love
course.
the song with the dance. I think it fit really well together. So yeah, absolutely very happy for Dylan that he kind of had that breakthrough moment that some celebrities never even get to have in the show because they don't make it far enough. So I was happy to see that from them. And I finally, for once, wasn't just looking at Daniela. Because I typically feel that I am so drawn to her. She's such a powerful, stunning dancer. She's just out of this world. But for him, I just, you know, he kind of, I feel, doesn't really shine next to her, but I really feel like that was different last night, and that made all the difference for me.
Kudos to him. Dylan will give you your flowers. Sorry for all the hate, but it was deserved up until this moment.
But we need to keep seeing that, though. We need to keep seeing him continue to just let go, attack the dances, really be confident in knowing the moves, and yeah, like you said, just be himself. We need to keep seeing that.
Now we know what he can do. He got all nines, so we'll see what happens
The
next.
bar is that high. You got to keep meeting the bar.
It sure is.
Yeah.
All right, up next we had Jordan and Ezra. Now, I think this was a beautiful dance. It was dedicated to Jordan's dad. I mean, he looks great in that pink suit. That's all I got to say.
Too.
The song, yes, I wrote that down in my notes. The song is beautiful. I think they flowed across the dance floor very beautifully. Now, Ezra really took a risk on this one. He had Jordan and her dad actually really take over a lot of the dance. You see it right here. He just steps off stage and her and her dad just have this moment and dance. I think it was a huge risk, but I think it really paid off. I mean, she looked like a true professional leading her dad. Her dad looked awesome too. I mean, the way he moved,
so
I was like,
smooth.
Good grief, that was amazing. I would put this up there for a favorite dance of the night. I thought it was so cute, so perfect.
Right here,
I'm so happy for Ezra and this choreography. I mean, that was amazing. Jordan is continuing to show that she is a front runner. I mean, she might be changing my top 3 in the finale.
She is in this to win it.
Because, and I loved at the end how her dad said that. He was just like, being such
We're
a dad, like, we're going to the top, baby. We got this, you know, like, screw the emotions. We just got to win it all. But I love that dance. It was beautiful. Everything about it, amazing. And I think it told a story very well.
Yeah. I think I had this moment last night where I realized that athletes, a lot of athletes that, you know, excel and get to the highest level, competing in the Olympics or, you know, just being a professional athlete, I think that you have to have a really good support system behind you. Typically, you know, a lot of these athletes have just, you know, parents that were so dedicated to them that allowed them to compete at that level of competition and get that good at whatever they do. And that is so evident with Jordan. I feel like her dad was just so sweet, so supportive. You can tell he just loves her and wants the best for her. And so I loved that dance. I agree. The risk, you know, that Ezra took was well worth it because her dad moved really well, and so incorporating him in the dance, was not an issue whatsoever. It didn't make it feel weird at all, and it showcased a little bit better their relationship, because that's what it was about, her relationship with her dad. So loved it, and just so much love and respect for them, like Carrie Ann said. So it was great, and great choreography. I just feel like Jordan has shown so much grace and beauty. She has completely done a 180 from what we said about her first week, where I think that she just realized, you have to really be confident when you get out on that floor, because you can tell if you're not confident, the viewers can tell. And she's just beautiful. I love watching her.
She really took the criticism from night one to heart, and she said, "I'm not letting that happen again."
Yes.
It goes to show she's a very talented athlete, because
100%.
only, I feel like, few people can do that.
She got to work.
Yes. And I liked how you talked about the point of the night. I wrote in my notes that I feel like that dance kept the main point of the night the main point.
Yes.
It was dedication night. It was about their loved ones. It was about whoever they wanted that dance to be dedicated to.
Right.
And that just exemplified it beautifully.
Agreed.
And what were their scores again? Okay.
They got all eights.
I
would have given that some 9s.
I think some 9s deserve to be in there compared to
Yes.
Dylan's dance and Robert's dance. I mean, Whitney even got a 9, but
Yes.
we know that was Carrie Ann's bias, but that's beside the point.
Yeah.
I think she deserved 9s.
I agree. I would have loved to have seen the judges give all 9s for that dance. Because again, like you said, I think that was one of the strongest of the night, and I would have loved to see them higher on the leaderboard, because I think that dance deserved it. But I don't. Maybe the judges are they don't have that connection with Jordan as much as they do some of the other contestants. I'm not sure.
I don't know. She's a favorite though.
Yeah,
she's
I do not want to see her go home early.
No.
Because she doesn't have the following or whatnot, because we know that the competition this year is a bit of a popularity contest. So I want to see her continue to go on, because I do not want to stop watching them dance. I want to keep seeing them dance together.
Take her to the finale, guys.
Please.
That's what I want to see.
Please. Seriously, you can tell that we love her.
Yeah.
So yeah, she did great. Okay, let's move on to Scott and Riley, another couple that we enjoy watching. So this dance, Scott dedicated it to his husband, and it was, I think Dan and I differ a little bit on how we feel about this dance. I think it was soft, it was emotional. Those were things that the judges brought up. But I did agree with, I can't remember which judge said this, but it did feel a bit disjointed to me. I think that I just don't see that really strong connection between Scott and Riley at moments. And I have a hard time putting my finger on it, or like specifically pointing it out, but I don't know, something about it, I just don't see that like really strong connection and partnership between the two of them. But I have to give him credit, because he has definitely improved. He looks more comfortable out there, and he's moving better, but he is, a tall guy. He takes up a lot of space, and so naturally I think having that grace and fluidity is a bit more difficult for him. So I know it's hard being taller like he is, and having that height difference between him and Riley. So I have to give them credit, and I did like the choreography too. It wasn't like a memorable dance for me in the night. It just wasn't one that I'm going to go back and think about when thinking about this week. So I want to hear your thoughts though, because I know we differ a bit.
Those are all very good points. I'm kind of like, I kind of biased towards Scott. I don't know why. Something about him, I love
think you love Riley.
I'm biased towards Riley.
Too.
I want Riley to succeed.
Yeah.
So therefore I want Scott to succeed. But I think they're very fun to watch. I think Riley's very fun to watch.
Yeah.
I also think Scott has a great personality.
He does.
And he's someone that I want to keep watching throughout the season. I agree with you where I think this dance, I don't think the fluidity comes as natural to him, and I do think that shows, at least compared to some other contestants that maybe have a little bit more of those natural capabilities.
Right.
However, what I will say is I loved the song, because I loved that it was written about his husband. They're having a baby.
Yes, that was really special.
How cute. I was
agree.
so happy about that. The one critique I would give is that I wish his husband was incorporated more in the dance.
Yes.
They started off at the beginning singing, and then they started off at the end hugging.
Yeah.
He didn't really do much dancing. Not that you had to. However, I wish I would have seen more, because it was all about his husband. I feel like we could have incorporated him a little bit more, had a little bit more of a moment, and I think that's why maybe you, like a lot of other people, maybe felt a little bit disconnected to the dance.
Yeah, definitely.
And I feel like that's what made some of the more memorable dances stand out, is when, like what you were just talking about, Jordan and her dad, they had those moments on the dance floor.
You really got to see that connection.
Where you really got to see it. For them, I know they had this singing moment in the beginning. It just feel like it kind of scraped across the surface.
Yeah, totally.
I think for dedication night, it was like we scraped the surface, and we were like, okay, we did our few parts that we needed. Let's just do a dance.
Yeah.
Now. Whereas I feel like it missed the storytelling point.
Yeah, missed a little bit more of that, incorporation of the person dedicating. I agree with you on that. But I still support Scott and Riley. I want to see them continue. I want to see him continue to improve. I just feel that when we're looking at like chemistry of the couples and really that like who I feel has a really strong connection, I just don't feel it as much with them.
That's fair. I can agree with that. I could see that. I think they're more the fun couple, the powerful dance, like the fun, laugh at me, be happy couple. Whereas these emotional dances, I think, where they're going to struggle the most, which kind of is the point of the season, is to really connect and like grow and really dig deep in dancing.
Very true.
So that's where I could see, them being a little bit stalemate. So we'll see what happens. I'm seeing rumors though about Riley getting kicked off as a pro next season.
Gosh,
don't know how true those rumors are.
I
hope it doesn't happen.
Seriously.
Because I just think that this part, at least Scott, is just very different than the partner she's had in the past.
Right.
But I think she's such a fan favorite. I mean, she's why I love that couple.
Yes, allow her to continue to grow. Obviously, she's still, compared to some of the other celebrities that have been doing this dance for years, they have so much more experience. She's still newer. She's still kind of coming into her own and experimenting new things with choreography. And I have to imagine that even the more seasoned pros have had seasons that, their choreography or their partnership wasn't as strong and they didn't get kicked off. So I do not want to see her get kicked off either.
No. And what were their scores? They had 7-8, 7-8. I think that was fair.
Or 7-7-7. Oh wait, no, you're right. Yep.
That was Danielle,
Yes.
Spoiler.
Yeah.
7-8, 7-8. I'm happy with that. I'm okay with that. I think that was fair because it didn't really tell a story. And I like how you said it just wasn't very memorable for the night. So a lot of good stuff to come out of it, but improvements are still necessary.
Absolutely. Okay, we got 2 dances left.
2 dances left. All right. Am I up next for the next dance?
Yes.
I think so.
Danielle and Pasha.
We had Danielle and Pasha. Mr. Feeney made an appearance. This is something Joseph and Chase from the Good Morning Iowa crew were very excited to see. Mr. Feeney, an ode to her show. I'm sorry. I didn't even
Boy
watch
Meets
the
World.
Show. Boy Meets
Yes.
World. I don't know. This dance didn't do it for me.
Yeah.
I think that it was unfortunate that she had a jive for her Mr. Feeney moment because he obviously doesn't move as well because he's a little bit older, and a jive is pretty hard to do that dance. I just feel like she looked like she was struggling, lagging behind the whole dance. And I think that was the same case last week where she was just lagging behind a little bit. And I just don't, I'm not a big fan.
Yep, I completely agree.
I don't have much to say other than I'm not a fan of that dance, of her, of Pasha.
Yeah.
I just, overall, it just wasn't doing it for me.
Yep, I agree with you on that. I want to see more attack and energy. I feel like she was giving that dance like 60%.
Yeah.
And I think that in order to win this competition, you need to give 100% every single week. You need your confidence to shine through. You need to attack the moves. I'm just not seeing that with her. I agree with what Carrie Ann said. Her dances are not memorable. Carrie Ann said that she feels like we're watching the same dance every single week with Danielle and Pasha. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that because I have seen some variability in the choreography, but I want more, like just more originality, some elements in the dance that are going to make me really remember it, and I'm just not seeing that. I feel like the moves are just simple, it's basic, they're not really taking any risks. There's just nothing about it that really, sticks out to me a ton. But still love her. She's fun, she's sweet, she's graceful. I just want more attack, and I think especially with those faster paced moves, like you said, I think she has a hard time keeping up.
Yes.
So
I wrote that down in my notes too, where I just think it wasn't a wow factor. They just do the same thing. It's very classic and basic, and there's nothing more to it. I wrote that down as
If there was a couple that was to get eliminated last night, aside from Andy, I think it might have been those two.
Yeah.
I think she had it would have been a risk.
I think their time's coming. One thing I also know, did you notice that Pasha shaved his beard to look
yes.
younger?
Yes.
I was like, wow,
because
he looks
she
different.
was dressed up as her character Topanga, and then Pasha was dressed up as Corey, which was her boyfriend in the show, and they were teens, so they were like, obviously trying to look younger.
That was funny to me.
I did like that.
I don't know. It was
cute, I know a lot of fans of the show love that they dressed up as their characters. It was sweet.
Yeah, but I know a lot of people were excited about Mr. Feeney.
Yeah.
And so that's really cool that he was able to be there and make an appearance because, I mean, he's old.
Yes.
So to be able to.
Like 90?
Yeah.
90 something?
To, like, fly him out. I don't know where he lives. Fly him out there or drive him out there. I mean, that's a late night for him.
True.
So I think that was, like, really nostalgic for a lot of people. The
Yes.
judges said that, and cool that they had that moment. They got 7s and an 8, which I agree with. I think that was fair.
I probably would have given it all 7s.
Yeah.
I don't think that dance deserved an 8.
I agree. Bruno gave an 8. I don't remember exactly what he said.
I don't either, but
maybe he's biased.
See, again,
towards
that's
the
the thing. I don't remember the judges' comments. I did remember Carrie Ann's though, because I agreed with her that the dances are not memorable.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's just nothing about it is very memorable to me. But I love Danielle as a person. I think she's so sweet.
Yeah, she seems really nice, and no hate to her. I mean, she's
No.
given it her all, and it's cute how she's at the end. She's like, I'm just having so much fun.
Yes, yeah,
Which,
she took
I
the
love
criticism
that.
well. She
Yes,
took the
I love that
criticism
she's
well.
having fun.
Yeah,
But we'll see what
definitely.
happens. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to our last dance of the night, Alex and Val. Alex dedicated this dance to her younger sister Isabel, who you see there. Alex's parents got divorced several years ago, and her dad got remarried and had her sister and kind of brought the family back together. She said, I thought this dance was so well choreographed, beautiful. I think Alex is just beauty and grace on the dance floor. She has really come into her own, especially last week, because her dance last week was my favorite. This lift, incredible. Alex has beautiful lines. She looks graceful. I also just love her costume. I think her whole look was just very pure and innocent and sweet. And I think she just looked so beautiful. I just think she truly looks like a dancer out there. And that's what makes her stand out to me is I wouldn't necessarily watch that dance and immediately know who is the pro and who is the the celebrity. Maybe she's not as good as Val in terms of skills, but I just think she's beautiful, and seeing her relationship with her sister was really sweet.
Yeah, so cute. I thought that I loved that dance. That was probably my favorite dance from Alex. I think that she really let herself come out. I think we saw a little bit of that in TikTok night, and then we saw a different side of her in Disney night, just more aggressive. This I feel like was her being her, and I think you could tell she was really leaning into the storytelling, leaning into the moment, and just sharing that dance floor with her sister and kind of recognizing what it was all about. And I agree, she moved so well. I loved the way that she was able to do all those contemporary moves.
Yeah.
Like you said, the lift, the jump, the little toe taps across the floor. I mean, she looked natural. It looked like it came natural to her. It didn't look like she had to try all that hard. She has beautiful lines. And I think it's just really becoming a true dancer versus, still learning. I think she's a dancer now.
Yes.
And Val's choreography, I mean, it's second to none. I mean, him and Mark are top notch for choreographers. And I mean, that went to show in that dance. They told a beautiful story. I thought it was really cute how they incorporated her sister Isabel in it. I thought she did amazing. I thought it was just all so cute.
Yeah.
I have no complaints about that dance. I was very happy with it, and I thought it was a great way to end the night.
It was, absolutely. There was anticipation. I feel like they usually put kind of the most anticipated couple at the end, and or they try to get people to stay the whole time. So, clear favorite, and I love Val too, so I think I'm partial towards Alex, but I just also think she's done so well in this competition. Now, we want to try something new this week where we kind of pick our top 3 dances of the night, and to kind of wrap things up. So you can go first, Dana. Tell me who were your top 3.
So my top 3 that I would say, Robert was my number 1.
Okay.
I would put Dylan as my number 2, and then I would put Jordan as my number 3.
Okay. So
those would be my top 3. So this is Robert's, just looking back at it, dedicated it to his mom. I thought that he just really was himself.
Yes.
He was him, and he leaned into that. And then here's Dylan with the sister. And like I said, I was a Dylan hater, but I was always open-minded, and this really changed my mind.
Yes,
it was beautiful. I mean,
was.
he became a dancer. I think a lot of people became dancers, and so that's why he's my second favorite. And highest scoring of the night, and then last, Jordan, my top 3rd. I just think the choreography was great. And how can you not love her and her dad? They're so cute.
Yes. Yeah,
It was
totally.
so much fun. So
It
yeah, those are my
was.
top 3.
Okay.
But what would your top 3 be?
I feel like I don't really differ much from those opinions. I think my absolute favorite of the night, honestly, was probably, oh my gosh, it's really
tough.
hard. It's
Yeah.
really hard. I think I would probably go with Robert and Whitney as well. And just because of all the things that you said, just loved the message of the dance. I think it was the most powerful. I was tearing up during that dance. I would also definitely pick Dylan and Daniela. Super strong performance from them. And again, loved seeing him actually really lean into becoming a dancer. And then it's hard. I was kind of between Jordan and Ezra and Alex and Val for like that 3rd place for me. But I think I would have to pick Alex and Val.
Okay. I was between those two also. So I could go
they're
either
so
way.
close for me.
Yeah.
So close. Yes.
I love
just
it. There's
this
another
dance.
look at her beautiful
Yes.
dance. It was all so good. I mean, it was hard to pick favorites of the night. It was easy to pick some least favorites of the night,
It was.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
If we had to go over our least favorites, what would you say for your least favorite dances?
I think my
maybe
least
two of your
favorite-
least favorites.
Sure. I think Danielle and Pasha, that's evident.
Yeah.
I also didn't watch the show, so I couldn't connect with it as much. And then I would probably say Elaine.
Elaine.
Yeah, Alan and Elaine.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. It's tough because It's sad that it's tough that I had quite a few of least
Yeah.
I just feel like there was a clear category of
like,
the
we
best.
love these people and
we don't
these
like
weren't
these.
great. Yeah.
So in my don't like these, I mean, I agree Danielle. I agree Elaine. I'd put Jen. Well, I love Jen's though. I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard.
Whitney's. There was a few, but nonetheless, I think it was a clear top half and a bottom half. But it was all cute because all the stories were cute. So it's hard.
Definitely.
And we need to talk about that. Is there was no elimination, so nobody was eliminated. We were texting about a few different theories.
Yeah.
I was a little disappointed. I think we both were a little disappointed that nobody got eliminated. Not that we want to see people go home.
No, but
that's
it
just
keeps
part
the
of the
show on track.
And
Yeah.
I think that a few theories we have, they had a record 50 million votes. Maybe they wanted to, see if they could keep surpassing that. They're clearly getting a lot of traction with the people on the show now. And I'm sure Andy brings in a lot of votes, and we know Andy's
so they
probably
want that
going
to
go
continue
home.
next week.
So yeah, maybe it was that. Maybe they didn't want to send people home on dedication night in front of all their loved ones.
Yeah.
Or my theory, maybe somebody big and somebody good was going to be going home, and they didn't want to see that happen.
Right, and they kind of played the producer card a little bit and said, nope, we are going to take that elimination card away and let them stay another night. Yeah, I agree. I need to do a little more digging on social media to see if anybody has really kind of figured out why that happened. They probably won't. Dancing with the Stars won't say, the people behind the show. But yeah, I'm also curious too if then next week we will see a double elimination, which is just going to be even more sad because you have two couples leaving. So I wish that
night.
I know it would have been tough. I know, especially with, like you said, all their loved ones there and all the dedications, but I think it would have just stayed on track better if we just kept the elimination.
If it's double elimination next week, who do you think is going home?
Oh my gosh, that is so hard. Andy and Emma for sure. But other than that, I don't know.
Because the scores from this week carry over to next week.
True. And who was the second lowest scorer of the night? Do we remember?
Oh, God. I think it might have been Danielle. Oh, no. Danielle and Jen were tied after that. So it was Andy at the bottom, Danielle and Jen tied.
Okay.
For second to last.
Yep. So maybe Danielle and Pasha.
I was going to say those two also. My vote, I would say Andy and then Danielle, I think would be the two to go home.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think that's I would put money on that prediction, honestly. But who knows?
Yeah, we bet on it.
You never know. This show we saw with Lauren getting sent home, it can surprise you.
I know. I wouldn't be surprised if Andy made it through another week, but I don't want that to happen.
No.
I'm sorry, Andy. I'm sorry. We love you. But Wicked night next week. A big night. I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we hope that you guys are too. Thank you for joining us week 5 of the Ballroom Breakdown. We will be back next week with more opinions, more hot takes, more reviews of all the dances. But it's so fun to get to do this with Dana, and we just really enjoy getting to let out all our thoughts every single week. So
We clearly have a lot of them.
Yeah.
So thank you all for tuning in. We really appreciate it.
Yep. We'll see you next week.